After 12 long, grueling, and often explicit days of testimony, the Vanderbilt rape trial is now over for the two former football players now convicted of raping a college student back in June 2013. Corey Beatty and Brandon Vandenberg found guilty on every count they faced. News Channel 5's Cuthbert Langley has been following the trial. He joins us from the courthouse with more, and it did not take the jury very long to reach the decision.
It did not, Steve. It took about 3 hours. That came as a surprise to some, not as a surprise to many people, but as the word spread throughout the area right here in downtown Nashville, the prosecutor rushed over, and about 10 minutes after the announcement was made, the verdicts were read. Corey Beatty, Brandon Vandenberg, now convicted of raping that college student. They have now been named convicted felons and registered sex offenders for life.
We, the jury, find the defendant Corey Lamont Beatty guilty of aggravated rape on count 1. We find Mr. Vandenberg guilty of aggravated rape.
Just minutes after that verdict was read, it became quite emotional in the courtroom yesterday. Brandon Vandenberg's father actually crying out loud when he realized his son could be facing the next 15 to 25 years in prison. Corey Beatty's family also emotional yesterday, which also happened to be Beatty's 21st birthday. They've been convicted of aggravated rape, attempted aggravated rape, aggravated sexual battery, and Vandenberg facing 2 additional charges as well. As she has been since day one, the victim sat in the courtroom as the verdicts were read, hoping that this would be somewhat near the end of what has been a disastrous chapter in her life. Yesterday, for the first time, she released a statement through the assistant prosecutor, hoping this verdict gives more hope to victims of rape.
She showed tremendous courage in staying with the case and not giving up, even though it got continued twice. And you know, it was delayed numerous times with motions, but I think she now feels it was all worth it, and she finally got justice.
That was actually the main prosecutor in this case, who definitely had his case stacked against him. But what is next for these two men? Well, March 6th, that's when they will be in court and sentenced on all of these charges. We are looking at possibly 15 to 25 years in prison, but it's not over yet. You have to keep in mind here, two other football players have yet to be tried in this as well, and those court dates have not been set. We'll have much more coming up in 30 minutes, but for now, we're live here in downtown Nashville. Cuthbert Langley, News Channel 5 HD.
Cuthbert, thank you, and let's continue on now, because in about an hour, in fact 55 minutes from right now, News Channel 5's Nick Barris will be sitting down with Brandon Vandenberg's attorney, Fletcher Long. He'll be taking your questions starting at 8 o'clock this morning right here on News Channel 5 Plus. You do not want to miss that or miss an opportunity to call in and talk about this. We'll also stream it online on newschannel5.com.
A young man accused of a brutal sexual assault was back in court. Dayton Jones asked a Kentucky judge to lower his bond to $500,000 of property. He was released from jail and is expected back in court later today for a pretrial conference. Jones and 3 other boys face numerous charges for the sexual assault of a 15-year-old boy back in October when the victim was unconscious at a party. Video of the alleged assault was shared on the app Snapchat. The victim was left with life-threatening injuries.
There are some shocking numbers regarding sex crimes here in Tennessee. The number of incidents doubling since 2010. And that's why Tennessee State University hosting the Sexual Assault and Relationship Violence Summit, bringing together college administrators and police from across the state to change college culture to provide a safer place for victims to come forward.
It's not just victims, perpetrators, or law enforcement, but it's every member of the campus community that has a responsibility to do what they can to create that safe environment.
Meanwhile, a TSU student won't be in class today after he was suspended for being involved in a shooting near the university. TSU has confirmed freshman Eric Freeman just started school 2 weeks ago. Freeman is on an interim suspension as the shooting investigation continues. Freeman showed up at a campus checkpoint Monday with a gunshot wound after police say he was involved in a shooting on Ed Temple Boulevard. Freeman's injuries are not serious, but another victim, Anthony Barbie, died on the scene. Freeman says he didn't shoot Barbie and he was shot during an attempted robbery. No charges have been filed. Take a look at this video. We caught a police chase that unfolded in downtown Nashville from our sky cams. Police responded to a report of a stolen car and 2 juveniles inside fled when officers caught up to it. The chase ended in an alley off Broadway and 7th. Both juveniles were taken into custody. A Skyline Hospital employee's credit card went missing only to find another employee had been using it. News Channel 5's Matthew Torres live at Metro Jail. And how did police catch up with this suspect, Matthew?
Well, hey, the victim reported her card stolen weeks ago, but of course, with any purchase from that on, police were able to identify the record from then. The suspect said was a food service employee at the hospital and that she had access to the room when the card was stolen. The victim said that 30-year-old Marquita Brooks went inside the locked room and took the credit card from the wallet. Now, before the victim canceled the card, Brooks apparently used it at least twice, once at a Walmart where she bought items for a little over $100. Now, again, police were able to track down the register records. They went to look through security cameras and found Brooks. They took stills from the cameras, showed it to the victim, where she positively identified Brooks as a suspect. She was booked in early this morning. She's now being charged with fraudulent use of a card and theft. She is being held on a $20,000 bond. We are reporting live at Metro Jail. I'm Matthew Torres, News Channel 5 HD.